Okay, welcome. This is our deliverables demonstration for today. So what I'm going to be doing today is just kind of taking you through the design of deliverables that we have in Workamajig in terms of, how is a deliverable started, who's involved, the workflow, and, the features. So what we'll do is we'll start with today saying a deliverable is basically an art review. What we're meaning by that is in Workamajig, we need to have some creatives, create some digital files, for example. We want to then route that through a process where users can interact, make comments, mark it up, and do all kinds of things along those lines, as well as take that feedback, create more versions, and then eventually pass it over to the client directly to them so they can review online as well. Now, with the process that we have shown here, I'm going to demonstrate two sides. I'm going to be logged in as a creative. And now, if you're not familiar with creatives in Workamajig, this is basically the users that are assigned tasks, working on tasks, entering time, developing and uploading files. Now, the other hat I'm going to wear today is also a project manager. So this is a project I've created today. I want to manage the deliverable on there. I want to create the deliverable, send it out for review, monitor it, manage it, all that kind of good stuff. So know that I'm going to be flipping between these two tabs that I have here, but I'm basically flipping between two different users, if you will, in the system. So before we get into a actual deliverable, what are some of the default settings that we can have associated for deliverables? So know that we do have an array of system settings. I'm going to open up our system settings real quick here. And our transaction preferences show advanced. You can alter the default workflow of how you want deliverables to work for you. Meaning, do you want both an internal and a client review? Or do you want everybody in the pool at one time so you just have one step only? Do you want to send notifications based off of certain actions? What's kind of the workflow of your send options? Now, to get more into detail, I would say definitely reach out to support or to training@workamajig.com to get more of that detailed setup of, hey, we have a process that fits this. How is that done? Today, I'm just going to kind of go with the defaults that we have here for today, but know that you can alter these defaults through a combination of transaction preferences and other various settings. Okay, I'm going to close out of that. So let's go with the idea that I've just been assigned this project. I'm the creative. I've now created a version 1, we'll call it, of a file that I want to upload for the project manager to then do their thing. So if we're familiar with the Today Creative, you can just simply click on your task card, and that will open up your assignment detail, which I can then access the files of this project. So on this project, I happen to have folders already created. I have one called versions. Well, great, let me go into versions. I want to add my version file here, so I'm going to upload my file. Oh, great, there's my version 1. Let me go ahead and upload my file. While I'm uploading my file, I can say, maybe I want to notify the account manager. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the email to, say, okay, username, that's me. Username, I want you to be aware I'm uploading a file, so I want you to get an email notification about this, in addition to. Now note that the project manager can get notified of other ways through their daily feed. If they're monitoring their projects, they'll be able to see that. But this is just a nice way to just shoot them a quick email, letting them know that there's a file being uploaded. So I'll add that as the email too. I can put in some description if I want to, in addition to the file name itself. But I'm already uploading it to a specific location of a specific project, so it should be pretty obvious what this file is for. I'm going to go ahead and upload my file now. My file is now uploaded, even have like a little bit of a preview because it's just a JPEG, pretty simple. So my file has been uploaded. At this point, as the creative, I'm kind of done. Now what you do with your task from there, that's a different story that we'll save for another time. Today though, we're going to flip back over now to the project manager. Okay, well, let me go and open up my project. I can see on the daily feed of this project, oh, version 1 was added by so-and-so at this time. So I'm able to see this information being tracked in the feed, and I can just keep on top of my daily feed through various pages like the project manager today and see what's happening through all my projects. I'm just focusing on this one project for today's demonstration. Okay, so that version has been uploaded. I got notified by email. me as the project manager, what I need to do now, I'm going to scroll down on my dashboard here to deliverables. Now I already have an example here that I'll save for later, but let's say, okay, I need to create a deliverable to get review and see if we need to make a new version or not. So I'm going to click the plus sign to add a new deliverable. We're going to call this deliverable. We'll just call it our artwork, will be the name. Very simple. The project is due the 28th. So I'll make the due date of this deliverable also be the 28th. Note that that due date is just an overall due date for the deliverable itself, but you might have multiple rounds that are due each day. I'm going to go ahead and save my deliverable. Takes me to the next screen, and really what we need to do is just simply create a round. So this is just some overview of the deliverable itself, but I'm going to click the plus sign to then create our first round. And right away, it's taking us to our internal review and client review steps. Notice that I already have approvers and notifiers. Now this is based off of a lot of that default setup. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. But just imagine I quickly just grabbed a deliverable or started a deliverable based off of our default settings that we've already established. I know that my user already added a file to the system. So if I'm relying on the default settings, I go to my files and hit the plus sign. I'm going to say use an existing file. This will show me the folder structure of this project. Well, it's under versions. Yep, this is our first round, so this is version 1. I just click it and it adds it to the file section of this round. At this point, again, if we're just basing it all off of our already predefined workflow, I can just simply hit send for review. So that was pretty simple. I added a round, added a file, sent it for review. At this point in time, whoever it's been sent for review, they can then go to their notification bell in their toolbar, and they'll see a section for deliverables. I'll go ahead and click on that. Under here, well, again, we see 2 because I have an example I'll show you later, but there's the artwork I just submitted. I'll click on that artwork. It opens up that round. Had we put some instructions in the round, I would be seeing them here. I'm going to close that out. But here's the file. It's just a JPEG. It's very basic. We have looks like a shot glass behind a wall. So at this point, it's very artsy, but we're not sure what we're trying to convey. So at this point, we're reviewing it. Now there might be multiple people reviewing this, so I can always look at the info of this deliverable, and I can see who else is a part of this review. So there's a total of 4 people on here. I'm just one of 4 reviewing this. I also then have my instructions my decision. Do I want to approve it? Do I want to resubmit it? Now we'll save that for a moment, but just letting you know that you can kind of see your additional instructions again, or whoever else is a part of this in case there's other questions for other people. Now hiding that, we're back to just the art file itself. Again, we just see a JPEG, simply a glass, but let's say, okay, I've got some comments on this. I know this is more of a artistic interpretation of what we asked for or what the client asked for, but I'm going to go ahead and add some comments. So I'm going to click on my little comment box up here. Okay, nobody else has made a comment. So note that if other people were making comments, you could see what they've made. You could click on them and see also their markup, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. First, let's go ahead and add our own comments. I'm going to click the plus sign to add a comment. And I'm going to say, let's make the glass bigger. So it looks so small and lonely over there. Let's go ahead and that'll be our comment of make it bigger. Now, it's obvious what we want to make bigger because it's the only glass on there. But notice we do have some markup tools. I also have the advanced features, so we're seeing additional tools, FYI, in case you're playing at home. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the box tool, draw an outline. I'm going to draw an outline around the glass just so we know that's what we're referring to. When we're doing this, we're actually tying this markup to this comment. So when I save this, we now see the comment in the list, and when you click on that comment, it then highlights that markup. So other users can see what you're referring to. Maybe also I don't want the glass on the left, I want the glass on the right-hand side. That would be my feedback. So let me add another one, another comment. I'll just say move right. And this time I'm going to use the arrow tool. I'm going to say this glass over here. Save it. Now there's 2 comments. So if I click on each comment's markup appears. Okay, so I've made some comments. Obviously, I feel very strongly about this, or I wouldn't have made the comments. At this point, I don't think this is what the client should see. I want to see some of these changes made in another version before we move on. So that's when we get to the make a decision option. When we go to make a decision, again, we have the ability to approve, which will move it on to the next step or to the client. We have please resubmit, which will reject this round, and we'll have to submit a new one before we can, again, move on. Now, approve with changes. This is done for various reasons. You know, let's say, I know there's other people that are a part of this decision-making process. You know, I'll approve it as long as everyone else is okay with it. You know, is really what you're saying. So I still have my comments that I've entered, and I'm noting that, you know, I approve, but, you know, it could be better, or I would rather see my vision interpreted versus what we see here. But there's different ways you could utilize it. Ultimately, though, keep in mind that when you say I approve with changes, you're still approving it no matter what. Okay, so with those comments done, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, let's go ahead and please resubmit, because I want to see another version of this. So please resubmit. Your decision was saved. Great, let's go on. And if we back out of this now the next time that the project manager or whoever is on the, better yet, on the notify list of that deliverable has now gotten an email that this round was rejected. We also put resubmit all over the deliverable, so it's pretty obvious that this needs to be done again. So when we back out of this, we'll see another button here to add another round. But before we can do that, we also need to let the creative know, hey, there's some changes to be made. Let me know when you upload a new version. So a little bit of an advanced feature here that I'll show you today. Let me go back into viewing the comments. So note that as an account manager or project manager, you can always go back into the deliverable, go to view comments at any time to get back in, see what was uploaded, and see what comments were made. Now, what you can do with these comments is we can turn them into what we call to-do items for your users to fix. So for example, make the glass bigger. Let's say fix this. It's going to ask me what task I want to put that on. I'm going to put on the first task. We already have somebody assigned there, the person who made it. Perfect. Maybe I want to send them an email. By the way, hey, I need you to work on this. So there is an advanced feature that you can enable to have to-dos be part of the deliverable process, which then translates back into the creative side. So if I'm clicking through this task, I should now see in my to-do list on that task, here's the thing to fix. So your creatives can actually be alerted. Now, unfortunately, in my demonstration today, because I'm logged in as myself on both tabs here, it's not going to say there's a new update. But had I assigned this to somebody else, it would show on the task card that there is a new update or a new to-do for them to look at. So on this to-do list here, I see, okay, make the glass bigger. That's the comment we made. If I'm the creative and I click on that, I can actually go to view the markup. I can be taken directly to the comment, to the feedback, and see what I need to do for it. So it's kind of a neat way to tie in your creatives and schedules into the deliverable process so they can have a quick and easy way to get in there. So your creative might say, okay, yep, it's fixed. So I'll just update that. That to-do is gone. Now that it's fixed, I'm going to upload a new file. Go back to the versions. Okay, let me add and upload my new version. Where's my version 2? I'm going to notify the account manager again and upload my file. So now we have a thumbnail of that. So I got my version uploaded. So again, as the creative, obviously I did this very quickly, but I'm able to see what needs to be worked on again, fix that, upload my new version, notify the account manager. Going back to the account manager, let's go back to my other panel here. So again, I'm juggling between these two hats. If I go back, I should be able to see, let me reopen project so the feed refreshes. So we can see, oh, version 2 is uploaded. Again, we can see that. We can see an item was fixed. So we can see all of those changes happening on this project. At this point, okay, there's a new version. Let me go back down. Let's go back into our deliverable. So notice that you only need to create technically one deliverable per project. You don't need to create a deliverable every time there's a new round. Now at this point, if I'm going to create another round, like I said, I was just using the default process for that first round. But where a lot of that process comes from is the team of the project. So if I open up the team of my project, there's a subscriptions tab up here, and you can determine who's going to be notified when the round is completed and who's going to be sent an email to approve or review that deliverable. So for example, if I'm the project manager, well, I need to be on the notify list, but I don't necessarily need to be somebody who's going to make comments or approve. That's not my decision. I'm just here to create upload the new version and get it going and get it sent out. But for today's purposes, of course, I'm going to have myself kind of do a little bit of everything. But the team is where you can set this as the default for this project. Okay, having said that, let's go back into our deliverable, our artwork. That first round was rejected. All that's noted. There's other custom reports you can run to see deliverables across the whole system, not just this one project. But I'm going to go and say, all right, the next step is to create the next round. I'm aware there's a new file on here, so let's go to the plus sign to create a new round. Now notice that it's saying, do you want to do the workflow the same as the last round, or have things changed and now we need to create a new round we're going to start over? So if you've made changes to the setup of the round initially, then you'd probably want to follow the process of same as the last round. So I'm going to go with that option. And here we go. We see the approver and the notifier that we had on the last round, which happens to match the setup of our team. But at this point, you could determine other workflows for your approvers. Now, notice at the very top here of this round, it's saying, send to everyone at once. That's the workflow. If we're determining we need a different workflow this time, so I can edit this specific round and say, you know what, send it to people in order, for example. That's also another way that approve with changes can be handy, because if you're sending it to people in order, you don't want to reject it and then have to start a whole new round, and maybe the fourth person in the chain doesn't even see the file until the fifth version. Well, that's why. So if we say send to people in order and you say approve with changes, then it keeps moving it on to the next person to let the next person decide if it should be approved or not. So there are different ways to work it. You can even say everyone must review, which will still send it through anyways, even if you reject it. So there's always different ways you can kind of work it. My preference, of course, is I like to say send to everyone at once. Let everyone have a look at it at the same time. Let everyone collaboratively make comments, see each other's comments, even reply to people's comments. Let everyone be in the pool at the same time. But note that if you say everyone must review, then if there's 4 people on that round, all 4 people need to make a decision before the round is complete. Okay, I'll just keep it with the default we had there. That's good. Just double checking my settings here. Oh yeah, that's right. So I need to, of course, add the second version. So I go and add my file. I'm going to upload an existing file. I'm going to look for my versions. This is round 2, so let's look for our version 2. I've added it to the project by clicking on it. And I'm going to say send for review. Does its little thing, and now it's in the reviewing stage. So whoever this has been sent to for a review, again, they will actually get an email, by the way, with a link they can click on that will open up the deliverable. That's a link that you don't actually want to share with people, though, because it could potentially let them log in as you, depending on how you have things set up. So safe way to do it is if you're in Workamajig, click on the notification bell, look for items to approve, deliverables. Oh, there's round 2 of the artwork. Perfect. Let's take a look at that. Ah, great. We notice that the glass looks much bigger, so this is definitely different than the last version. But maybe there were other comments. Maybe there were other thoughts that we want to kind of compare, or better yet, what did we even say on the first round? I don't even remember now, because I know this demo, I'm being really quick, but maybe a week went by. Who knows? So at this point, what you can do also is from the More button at the top of the review screen is I can say compare. When I compare, and again, if you have multiple rounds, you got to choose which one, but I'm just going to choose the previous round. And now we can see a side by side, and I'm going to make everything kind of fit the screen. Trying to remember which button does which. There we go. So looking at a kind of a side-by-side comparison, we can see, okay, there's definitely some differences here. What were the comments that were made in the previous round? So I can click on my comment tool, glass bigger. Okay, that definitely got done. Move it right. That wasn't done, but that might be okay because again, it's all artwork at this point. So we're saying, well, it actually looks better still on the left. So I like that it's there. Even though the comment was to move it right, I like where it's at. So at this point, we might say we're good with that. We're like, hide the compare. I'm good with what I see. Let's just go ahead and I don't even need to make a comment maybe at this point because everything looks good. So I'm really just going to click on make a decision and I'm going to say I approve. Now when I approve, my decision is made. This is approved and we're good to go. Let me back out and we can see even it's approved. But notice because this is a two-step process. We have internal review and client review. So at this point, we need to then send this to the client, but I haven't filled out that portion yet of the setup of adding my client to this project to then have it send it to them as a reviewer. So the system is smart enough, by the way, is if you add your client to the team of the project and they're a contact, they're not an employee, it'll actually add them as an approver to the client step automatically. But notice me, I'm the notifier because I want to be known. I want to know when the client makes a comment or rejects, what we sent them. All right, so at this point, that's the overall process of deliverables. I'll try to answer a couple of questions if you want to type them in the chat. But what I also want to show you right now is, because I hear this a lot, is what kind of files can be used on a deliverable. Well, technically, any file can be used on a deliverable, but not every file can be visible in a deliverable. So what I mean by that is the typical files formats that work best would be, let's say, like a JPEG, an image file. As far as Word documents go, there is a kind of a Word reader program that works behind the scenes, but it doesn't let you make any markup or comments due to the nature of those types of files. So what we actually recommend then is that you use a PDF. So if you can save your documents to a PDF file, then I can actually show you in my multiple example deliverable. I'm going to go and view the comments here. So I have multiple files on this deliverable. Let's open up my PDF. And so in a PDF, we have text. And let me zoom in a little bit here. There we go. So we have a whole bunch of text here. So if I'm adding a comment on a PDF file, I'm actually able to then have some additional markup tools here you see with a text letter. There's highlight text and strike through. What this allows me to do is I can say, all right, let me highlight this text. We can say, okay, maybe campaigns. Let's highlight that. Campaigns, we'll say there's a typo. Try to grab a couple of it. And of course, it's being finicky with me today because now it's not linking my comment to my text. I'll try that one more time. I apologize. Let me try my strike through. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, unfortunately, so that's the nature of software. But if I'm highlighting the text, whatever I've highlighted would typically add in as the comment. So that way I can kind of make notes of the comment itself and the text here. Of course, I'm just making markup. So we're not actually editing the PDF file in any way, shape, or form. All we're doing is adding comments and adding markup to the file visually here in the review tool. So if we come back to the review tool, we can see the markup on top of the file. I'll just try my strikeout as well. Yep, unfortunately, it's not copying over. So that's just unfortunate for today. But I should still be able to do other markups, of highlighting here, of here's something specific, and because PDF files you can have images as well. I could highlight the image, do different things, but that's just unfortunate. I'm not able to show you the highlighting text tool here. All right, I haven't seen any other questions come in just yet, so I'll keep moving. So other file types that can work as well. I'll are videos. So if we do happen to have a video, I'm going to go into our video file I have here. So I just happen to have a Vimeo link. So we do have an API. When you're adding a file, you can actually choose a Vimeo file or a YouTube file. Now note that you can actually upload your own video files. I think it's like the H.246 or whatever that codec is called. You want to make sure that you kind of experiment with different codecs a little bit to have it play the best. But at the same time, note that you could just, if you already have a service like this that you share with your clients or for different purposes, when you have that uploaded, you could just, use this URL to that specific site. And you can actually do very similar. I don't know if that, hopefully that wasn't too loud for you guys, if that heard. But through this video tool, you can actually go to a specific section of the video and make a comment there. Now, unfortunately, we can't make a comment on every single frame, but we can get close at least and say, you know what, maybe there was a black frame or a white frame that was in there. So you can at least get close to what you're looking for. And when the timeline is there, when you make a comment, you're making a comment at that specific point. And you could say, missing frame. So that way, regardless of where you are in the video, when you click on that comment, it'll take you back to that portion of the timeline. Now, of course, in this one, I have multiple files in one deliverable. So you can actually upload multiple files at a time, but keep in mind that no one file will open up as a default. You'll have to drop down from the top and choose which file you specifically want to review within that one deliverable. So in the case of, hey, this file looks great, but this file doesn't. Well, you're going to have to do that through comments. Someone's going to have to dissect all that, determine what looks good, what doesn't, to create the next round from that information. So this might be a case where you actually create 3 deliverables on one project. So that way each file has its own review process, since one may be good from the get-go and others may have to go revision after revision. All right, well, that is what I have for you for today. Are there any questions here? I'll wait another moment and see if anybody types in the chat box there. If there's no questions, then we'll call it a day. But I do appreciate your time viewing and listening to this. Now, if you have more questions, feel free to email support@workamajig.com. Those emails go right to your account manager. So if you have a question with what you saw today or a certain feature, or maybe you have a certain workflow you're trying to accomplish, just shoot us an email. If you want to get more one-on-one training with your account manager, shoot an email to training@workamajig.com. And that will get you in touch with our satisfaction team to make sure that you get scheduled and get all those questions answered. All right. Well, I'll keep this going for a little bit longer in case there's any questions. But other than that, I thank you for joining today.